Hello, hello, everybody.
Hi there.
Hey, Ross.
Hello, hello. Just letting more people in here. All recordings, every office hours is recorded automatically and uploaded to our YouTube channel, just as a heads up. So all past recordings and this recording will also be up on the YouTube in a little bit. Cool. Alrighty, we'll get started here. Thanks everyone for joining. My name is Ross. If I haven't met you yet, thanks for joining. We're going to be talking about some Stammer stuff today, going over how people are using AI chatbots to make some money. So typically these meetings will go over some new features and then we'll go over some general questions and answers. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat or just say in the chat channel that I have a question, and then I'll get to you at some point in a few minutes. But typically we're going to start off here with some updates and some information for you guys so you guys can get up to speed about what we're releasing next. So we have a update coming out a little bit later today, and a few updates. Tim, I know one of these is going to be for you. 24-hour scraper will be up and available for everybody on all accounts, even the free trials. So that way, all your customers will be able to experience that feature without any hindrance. So that'll be up a little bit later today. We're going to be doing a release for 1.32 later today. So that'll be out. We're also doing a really cool addition with dashboard customization. So this is long in the making, but we added in 5 new color themes that you can select that will then change the banner color. It'll change the buttons and all the links and everything associated with those changes. And we're starting with pre-made templates first because of how deep all the colors go within, little things of how links are colored versus how, different buttons and items are featured. So once we figure out kind of how people are utilizing that, then we'll open that up to allow you guys to fully customize every little color of every little feature individually. But we're going to start off with some of these templates to get started, which will be cool. We're also adding a API endpoint to add in information via the knowledge base as a QA. So this is going to be really cool for people who are using other platforms or other sources of information that want to automatically update a knowledge base of an AI chatbot. A couple of weeks ago, we announced this feature that I just mentioned, the 24-hour scraper, which allows the AI agent to automatically rescrape a website every 24 hours. And this also works with public documentation like a Google Docs or a Notion doc, anything that's publicly accessible without a login restriction. The AI agent will be able to scrape that information dynamically and load it into the chatbot on a daily 24-hour basis. And now we'll be able to do that with the API through other sources. So a good example of this could be, let's say you're having, data or people answer questions in a form to opt in. You could take that information down and update a knowledge base of a document or an AI agent based off of the responses, and that would simulate memory. So this is something that ChatGPT just added very recently, where you can add stuff into its quote unquote memory so it remembers more information about you. This is something that you can kind of do now with the API through other resources, not just within the platform, using conversations that people have had in the past that you can update information dynamically already. So just more options, and this is a new feature, so we'll have a ton of tutorials and examples about how you guys can utilize this in the coming days. And then finally, we have prompt variables. So the first one that we're going to be introducing is time. And this will be very similar, or if you're familiar with Go High Level GHL, how a prompt or variables, dynamic variables work where, or in any, pretty much in any email builder where, you have like a bracket first dot name, and then that dynamically loads with the user's first name. So things like that, we're going to start to be adding into the prompt to allow it to take advantage of other dynamic information. And so the first one of that will be time. So the AI agent will be able to know dynamically a time based off of whatever metric that, whatever time zone location that might be. And so that will give information into the knowledge base at runtime so that the AI agent has a little bit more context and a little bit more information to help answer stuff. For everyone else that just joined, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat. Just, I have a question, or feel free to drop the question, and I'll get to you guys in a minute after we go over some of these new updates. And then we're also improving a bunch of stuff like dark mode. We've got an issue fixed with some of the displays it not showing up correctly on some weird Android phones. So updating that as well. And then we're also updating to the newest GPT-4 Turbo model, which will give a little bit more power. We're getting some good results from that latest model, so we're going to be updating that as well. And that's pretty much it in terms of updates. We'll have a lot more tutorials coming soon to the documentation as we release more features. So stay tuned to that. You guys can find that at docs.stammer.ai. I'll post a link to that in the channel as well. And now we can go over to some questions. So I see Andrew F.
How's it going?
Hey, thanks for joining.
Cool. So we're gonna either custom build this, or if you have an idea on how it could be done, what we want to do is when somebody stops replying, just send a follow-up message. It's like some good sales tactics. Like, we answer the question, they say thank you, we reply to that, they don't reply again. That it will say, is there anything else, or could I set up a meeting, or can you tell me your website? Like, just kind of have a list of questions to keep kind of prompting and gathering information.
Is this in general, or are you specifically talking about the chat widget versus integrating with another platform, or both, obviously?
We would integrate, so it could do that
Integrate.
multi-channel.
Yep.
But let's just start with the chat, like in the chat only.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if they're silent, that we can, go ahead and bring something up after a minute or 30
Yeah.
seconds.
So one of the things that we added a couple weeks ago was the idea of conversation starters, and this is the little questions that users can click on instead of typing a first message. And we're going to be updating that to also be a option to have vertical conversation starters. But this also brings up the idea of conversation continuers, which I think, Andrew, is a good kind of generalized term of what you're saying here. We have an idea of how this could work already, where you could add in static conversation continuers, which would allow the AI agent to read the conversation. And then let's say you put in a conversation continuer as, I want you to try to schedule a meeting. It would be able to understand the context of the conversation and then send a message in a variation of, hey, I know what we just talked about, but by the way, would you want to schedule a meeting? And then it would flow into it would just naturally flow into the scheduling prompt, which the AI agent already knows.
Yeah.
Now, I think where this gets exciting is where we can add in dynamic conversation continuers, where you could provide general ideas, like I generally want to, book a meeting, or, on top of having this customer have their problem solved. That could open up a lot of different avenues where the AI could not only give that initial response, but then create dynamic conversation continuers that the user could click to then continue that conversation without them having to type in anything.
Cool. Yeah, so I like all that. And then, so what we're going to probably just try to build is some kind of off third party. I don't know the right terminology because I just ask people to do it and they do it. So off the platform, some kind of timer. If a period of time goes by and they've left the chat, we'll send them an email and like just try to recapture, bring them back.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we'll get something added to the roadmap and we'll get that built out soon.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks for joining. Daniel says, hi, the first question is what happens with the vector database when I delete a file from the knowledge base? It remains there and the answer could utilize the outdated information or it disappears from the vector database. So if you delete a file from the vector database, it is deleted totally. Now, where it doesn't necessarily get deleted is specifically in relation to that 24-hour scraper. So that scraper will analyze all the information that it scraped on day one. And then when day two comes around, it will re-scrape the site and then it analyzes day one versus day two. What is changed and different, what's removed, what's not removed. And then it updates the information based off of what's on day two. So as long as the information is correct in day two, all the information in that AI agent should be correct. I hope that helps answer. Cool. Next one, when someone comes to a site and they give their company name, is there a way to have GPT look up their volume of Google reviews and offer if-else statements with different responses? So this is going to be a super fun one that we're going to be able to build once we have custom functions built out. The first two custom functions that we've already built are leads and calendar scheduling. Once we open this function calling up, essentially, we'll be able to allow you guys to build any variation of any type of custom function, which could be this specific types of use cases. So we've started collecting I've started collecting AI use cases like a deck of cards almost. Anytime I see an interesting thing on TikTok or Instagram, everything is generally related to the same, 3 or 4 different principles. We have an AI agent that has a prompt. We have a custom knowledge base of information, and it uses that to do stuff. Where these custom functions come in is how that stuff can be done in interacting with other platforms. So we could have an AI agent that is trained to go do and pull a Google review. It could go and pull Shopify order data. It could go to USPS or UPS to find tracking information. We could go to weather.com and pull weather data. The possibilities for creating custom functions will allow the AI agents to, literally do anything.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's a fantastic idea because it's ultra personalized, right? They're coming to your
exactly.
site. And then, they're offering this now in some of the cold outreach, like instantly in some of those, so they're able to pull it. And then what this does then is we could have the chatbot actually qualify them and say, hey, these people really have low Google reviews and they really ought to, they would be a great candidate. In other words,
Yeah.
their help. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Google reviews. I got targeted with a cold email this morning with someone who was like pulling our site on SEMrush and then being like, here's why you suck and how you should work with
always
us.
do that.
Like these are all things, and within the context of the channel of email as well, these are all things that will be kind of coming to the future as we start to figure out how AI agents actually work and provide value today, not this, fantastical vision of, oh, they can do magic and everything. Like
Yeah.
this is I think where we're approaching it in such like a stepping stone.
So it's probably a strong use case with all the go high level reputation management, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Great
Cool.
idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Second question, is there a chance in the future that Excel report of conversation allows to parse the answers with the questions to easily make the mapping question answer? Yes, we actually started working on this already. So this is a big thing that Tim and I have been talking about for a long time in terms of how do we increase the analytics and data that is provided to us on a daily basis. One of these ways will be done through a daily summary conversation report. When a bot doesn't know an answer, it can pull that information out and provide an easy interface to easily answer that and then update the knowledge base. So the use case that we can all kind of visualize and walk through is every single day you would get an email, or your client would get an email that says, here's a summary of all the conversations that the AI agent had today. And at the bottom, there could be a link that says, respond to questions that the AI didn't know. When you click that, a little Google Sheet opens up and it has the question and a response that says, I don't know. And maybe there's like 5 rows in there. And what you could theoretically do in this visualization is you could go in and just answer the questions and then click save. And now the AI is updated automatically with the correct information based off of that knowledge that it doesn't know. And we could build an interface for this where users would have to log into your version of the white label platform to update this, which could be a really good way to get them back into the platform to then upsell them without having to rely on retargeting ads or anything like that. This is a large epic that we've been trying to work on over the last couple of weeks within the context of this analytics push. So conversations, data, being able to pull down like revenue numbers, all these things will be added. Andrew, Ashley?
Thanks, Ross. So I'm relatively new to this space. My wife and I, we've run a marketing agency for like 6-7 years now, wanting to get into the space. So one of my questions for you, and this may be redundant, I apologize, but one of the problems is when you're trying to like get into a different vertical is every single platform tells you they're the best, right? And this is why we're the best, and kind of just gets loud. So I was curious if, one of the other platforms we were looking at is Go High Level, and there was a few others. I'm just curious. I'm doing the trial right now. Seems really awesome. I really kind of like the layout. It's very user friendly. But maybe if you could just give kind of big picture, why is your platform, you all's platform, maybe better than some of the other options out there? Just kind of high level. Like I said, we're just finishing up the trial. We're beginning to make those decisions, which platform we're going to invest in. You could just give that feedback.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned it already. It's the simplicity of the platform. So the main thing that we bill on our website and our marketing and everything is white labeling. But the way that is done is through simplicity. And this is something that we've been focused on since the very beginning. And the folks that have been with us on these calls for almost a year now have been able to see this progression where the foundation of our entire platform is built on you being able to white label it to the fullest extent possible. To my knowledge, there is no other competitor out there that allows you to do it to the extent that we allow you to do it. Domain, name, logo, colors, API, which is the big kahuna. That one is kind of what really sets us apart. That in addition to being able to have your clients be able to utilize this platform in an easy and simple way helps you cut down on support, which a lot of other platforms don't really give you a lot of help with.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining.
Can I chime in real quick, just for 2 seconds?
Yeah, thanks, Drew.
Yeah, sorry, you guys can't see me. I'm outside at the moment, but the comparison from GHL to Stammer is not really a true one-to-one comparison. GHL does a lot of great things when it comes to CRM workflow automation abilities, but their AI features and the white label of that is very lacking in comparison to what Stammer has to offer. So we have a lot of people that use GHL on the back end. We also use GHL on the back end, and we view Stammer kind of as an enhancement to a fully automated system like GHL, but we don't use them as direct competitors or comparisons.
Yeah, thanks for adding that. Some of our most successful agencies that have found us and signed up and paid like without even questioning it have been existing GHL agencies who have had a lot of trouble with GHL's AI stuff. And they're looking for something that they can just quickly integrate, boom, 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 and they're off to the races. And we've had several of those agencies in the last couple of weeks that have done that.
Yeah, I use both because Stammer does so much. GHL is very limited as far as their chatbot capabilities. I think that's the high level.
Yeah. Cool. So Damon asks question, a conversational flow.
Yes, I apologize. It's barely a question.
All good.
I'm going to chalk that up to some keyboard flubs and mind farts.
All
Anyway,
good. Yeah.
yeah. So these are it turned out to be more notes for myself, but just some general questions to start. So I noticed the difference between your platform, which is excellent, and I really dig the sub accounts and so on, and that definitely is a standalone feature that you don't see. One thing I noticed in others is that they do allow your own API key and also thereby access to the assistance endpoints, right? And now I know you had mentioned that you are building out custom functions, which up until now, and I was debating between platforms, whether or not your existing lead flow process tool, is able to capture what we're doing, or if I need to, use something that allows us to use something where I can implement my own custom functions. So I guess my question is not is kind of like either or. So in other words, is there any plan to allow the use of your own API key and thereby assistance endpoints, or regarding the custom functions you're building out, to what degree are those customizable? What endpoints, if any, can you hit? That sort of thing. And I'll keep it as brief as you need, but that's my first question.
Yeah, cool. So short answer is yes, there will be an enterprise level plan that will allow you to connect your own API key and essentially bypass us as like our platform and billing entirely, still keeping your ability to rebill. That's the key. That'll be the key point. So there will be a small transport fee, but it won't be anywhere near what the cost is per message or what token cost is. It's more just to cover our ass, basically, just for massive usage.
We're all in the same boat here.
Cool. Yeah. So the assistant endpoint, that I think my co-founder Tim will be able to comment on in a minute. And then to comment on your last question, the way that we're visualizing this is going to be very similar to how ChatGPT is building theirs, with how you build custom GPTs and create those actions, I think they call it, in their action builder.
Right.
The way that we visualize it is you have on the right-hand side, there's basically a code block, and on the left-hand side, there's an AI window. And if you don't know how to code, you can just be like, I need an integration with XYZ, and then it will just program it in the right hand. And if you know what you're doing, you can just paste stuff in the right-hand side, and then it will be able to run according to how we build the system and create the prompt variable that will call that function that you've written over here.
Okay.
Complex to visualize if, I don't have anything to show, but everything that you said will be able to be done within by the summer, probably.
Sure. And so to that, and as a way of transition to, your existing lead form component, right, where so you can have it in chat or via form, and you define those pieces of information, and some of those are discrete things, email, name, whatever, and in our use case, some of those are on our native application, their own completion prompts, right? And so I guess, can you speak to whether or not, so the process of those lead pieces of data, are there now, or is there any future ability to say, for any given piece of data, I want a summary of X given the conversation, or I want these pieces of the conversation. Does that make any sense? Or I can keep going on. I'm not sure how useful it will be.
In relation to more like of an analytics thing?
So, and I apologize. Let me back up and start at another point, and say that so the end result of the conversations, at least in my use case, is in our application determined by a kind of a meta GPT, saying, well, is there enough information within this conversation for XYZ, right? And so in our application, it's a JSON request that is evaluating on every return, right? And saying, given these requirements that are in the prompt, does it meet this criteria? If no, continue asking questions. If yes, then allow submission of the form, right? And in the case of some of these generative fields, it's like I need a summary of this particular thing that might be found within the conversation. I'm not sure if that helps, but perhaps you see where I'm going. So in other words, you have get the name, get the email, whatever. Is there get the summary of for generic purposes the key points, or
Gotcha. Not yet. On the way.
on the way. Okay. Cool. And then I'm sorry, and I'll stop myself after this one. But regarding that meta-analysis piece, because it's very cool. But we need a bare minimum amount of information from the user, dependent on their request, right? And so we accomplish that, as I said, by a JSON in our native app, that displays or does not display the ability to submit or conclude the conversation. And so I don't want to hem you in by saying that that's what we need. I'm just saying, is there a way to accomplish that in your platform currently, or anything that is in design? Or
Yes. So
yes.
we are working on the custom functions functionality, which will allow you to literally define actions that the AI can then go and execute on your behalf, as well as we will have some capability to store privileged information like API keys, stuff like that securely. So once that functionality is developed, I can see a path to getting to what you seem to be describing. That being said, what you're describing, I don't know if I fully understand it, but if I do understand it in some ways, I think, yes, we are working on that. And I believe custom functions, as well as possibly bring your own model capability that we're working on, may enable that for you in the future.
Okay. I appreciate that. And without, and I'll go on if you need to cut me off, but the meta-analysis piece. So in other words, for them to be able to complete the conversation in our case and deliver adequate information, in our case, like I said, it's a simultaneous thing that happens via JSON. There's the response, there's the evaluation of the conversation up until this point, relative to the important prompt, the system prompt, right? And so, in lieu of that, is there an ability to send the entire conversation as a piece of the
Yes,
lead?
that's what I was mentioning earlier with the conversation and the analytics piece. That will be you'll be able to define, hey, I want to send the conversation history of either everything or specific ones, maybe ones that have, where the bot was like, I don't know. It could be whatever you define. That then gets sent, and then you can send that to whatever, and you could have the AI run an analysis on that. You could send that to ChatGPT. You could run that through Zapier. You could do that's up to you on whatever you want to do.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your patience.
Yeah, of course. All right, Andrew asks, do agencies tend to make their white label a separate name or URL than their agency, or make it part of the agency with the subdomain of the agency URL? Drew says we see most people add it as a subdomain. Yes. So yourdomain.com versus app.yourdomain.com. Most people will do app.yourdomain.com.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Since it's silent, I'll just be greedy and just ask with regards to the conversational history. Is that, and I apologize if I missed it. If is that a current thing or a soon to come thing, or
The actions of being able to send it and do that's coming soon. You can review conversation histories right now within the dashboard. You can update everything dynamically within the conversations right now. It's sending it somewhere that's coming soon.
Gotcha, and that will be accessible via webhook.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Right on. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. We'll have more updates coming out in the next couple of weeks. Excited to share them with you all and hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks everyone for joining. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.